Welcome to another episode of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? And I don't think it's too late to say Happy New Year. So Happy New Year. We're so glad to be with you today. I'm Karen E. Osborne. If this is the first time that you've joined us, I am the author of Getting It Right, of Tangled Lies, which is a 2021 Best Thriller finalist. Whoa. And coming out in June is Reckonings. And I am so excited about two cool people, creators, because that's what they are. They're multi-dimensional creators who are my guests. We have Angela Page. Hey, Angela.
Hey. Hi, Karen.
And we have Mia Altieri.
Yes. Hello, Karen.
Hi. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about them that I got from their bios and their website and things like that, but they're mostly going to tell you about themselves. So this is what I gleaned. So Angela and Mia co-authored a new comedy thriller. Now, how often do you see those two words going together? A comedy thriller. There's a dead girl in my yard, and it's based on actual events. Here's what the critics say. Fast-moving comic adventures of Poppy, an actress and, in quotes, light Buddhist whose life is taken over by a dead girl buried in the yard and an exotic set of mourners drawn to the site. Here's another one. A really fun read, a hard-to-put-down read. Cleverly written novel packed with multicultural characters. So you already want to buy this book, don't you? And then Angela Page is a writer, producer, and she's also the author of Matched in Heaven and Suddenly Single Sylvia. And she's based in South Florida and LA. And Mia Altieri is a Los Angeles-based actress, author, voiceover artist, and if you look over her shoulder, you see she's expanding her creativity with painting as well. So I am just so glad to have you two with us. And I want to start by finding a little bit about your origin story. So Angela, how did you two meet?
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned Suddenly Single Sylvia, which is a novella and a dating guide for boomers that came out in 2017. And subsequently, we made a film, a 10-minute short film, and Mia was a supporting character in the film. She played one of the daters that the matchmaker put her together with a May-December romance, a Korean war vet that gets very inappropriate during the dinner. And Mia played a fabulous role. And actually, the series has been optioned. The film and the book have been optioned for a TV series. Of course, pre-pandemic, we'll see what happens, right? So that's how we met in the auditions and subsequently on set.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And so, right. Mia, what made you guys decide? So you meet, you do this 10-minute thing. It's cool. I'm sure it took more than 10 minutes, but ended up in a 10-minute video. What made you guys decide we ought to write a book together?
Well, it didn't really happen like that. We became fast friends along with the director of the film and then the star of the show. And we were submitted into a lot of film festivals, and we decided, the four of us, to take a road trip to one of them out in Sholo, Arizona. And on the way, I got a text from said mourner, and he wanted to come in and visit the tree. And I said, well, I'm in Arizona. I can't let you in the gate to do that. And then he wanted to know the gate code so he could come in when he wanted and just visit the tree whenever he wanted. Now, mind you, I'm renting a guest house in the back. And so I had a slight meltdown of frustration. And if any of you know me, they spark up. And Angela wanted to know what was wrong, because we were inside a Starbucks, getting coffee and whatever we do. And I just turned to her and I said, there's a dead girl in my yard. And I could just see Angela go.
It stopped me in my tracks. In Starbucks, I did exactly what Mia did. My hands in the air. I said, that's a book. It's a TV series. It's a film. It's a something. I don't know what. let's talk about it tonight after we've had several wines, after vodkas and several wines, and we'll come up with it.
The whole time we're chatting, I'm telling her the story, and the thought bubble keeps like percolating. I mean, I can see the thought bubbles in her head. And then, and it just kind of kept being chatted about. And then how it really happened was, it was November in the COVID or just before COVID or something. I don't know. It was right before COVID. It was like February. And she emails or Zoom and she's like, I can't get this out of my head. Do I have permission to do it, or would you like to do it with me? I'm like, I want to do it with you. And so we did it. Angela it was in Florida the whole time, now she's in New Jersey, but it just was birthed, and thank goodness for her and her creativity and her drive. And it turned out to be what it is. And we still hope it turns into a movie or a series or a video game. Like, I don't know.
That is so awesome. And I totally get that. You hear something and you think, oh, that's a book. That's it. I do that with characters. I see somebody, I was sitting having a meal outside on a big patio on the lake, and this woman walked in, and everything about her was a character. I didn't hear her voice, but she had a name in my head right away. And there she was, and I'm taking notes and I'm noticing what she was wearing. And
Well, what sealed the deal for me was that night was the awards ceremony for the festival. We won a bunch of awards. Mita comes out of the bedroom. We were in an Airbnb, and she's wearing one of the dead girls' dresses for the awards ceremony. And I said, that's beautiful. We all said, oh, Mia, you look fabulous. He says, well, this was left by, and she named the real dead girl in the yard with the urn. And that's why I said, that's it. It's a book. I think it's a book. And the shoes.
It was very kind of like the best friends, because I was taking care of her, and the tree, and her car was parked in my yard too, because they had it down at LAX. And so this sweet girl named Nikki said, do you want to have something of hers? And so I said, yes. And then later she invited me to come over to take more, because they were selling, and she had beautiful clothing. So I got this amazing wardrobe of designer clothing from, anyways, it's awkward and it's true. And there it is, everybody knows. And yes, I did wear some of them to auditions, and I did do quite well with those auditions.
And she got the audition when she wore the dead woman's clothes. Yeah.
So the origin story, I don't know if you can top this origin story, but tell me a little bit about the writing process, Angela. How did that go? How did that work? Were you guys in different cities when you were writing?
In the beginning, not, but it started a couple of months before pandemic. I wrote a couple of chapters, and then I worked on an outline, and I belonged to a couple of writers groups, both in LA and South Florida. And I would read out, I started to test it out. I wanted to see what everybody thought of the Poppy character. And the dead girl character didn't come till later on. She came in pandemic because we got a little more serious. We used to kill ourselves laughing, discussing the trajectory and the setups and the scenes. But then pandemic came, and we thought, I think we're going to add a little layer of intrigue here and suspense and a little seriousness, because we used to literally cry ourselves silly laughing at what we wrote. We entertained ourselves. So I did work on it. I had a couple of mentors, coaching mentors across the process through of course, my writing group. So we had help, and we were bouncing off not only the outline, but also the character development and the scenarios and all that to a lot of people over the course of up until the very end. And then of course came the what do you do now kind of stuff, which we can, what happens at that point.
Yeah, but that's wonderful. It's the writing community is so supportive. I mean, I think one of the things I love the best about being a writer is how much we help each other, support each other, share. And I would send Mia the comments. So I would take notes during the writers group, and I'd send her the comments, and we trade the chapters back and forth. And who would add more, and then we would decide, whether we're done, let's move on, and we actually we worked out a sequence many times. So once the outline was done,
But to say the ending and the twist, I'm interested to see that a lot of reviews that talk about how much they like the twists. But man, she and I worked on that for months. And we thought, do we have enough twists? Are there too many twists? But in fact, everybody, I noticed that all the reviews have the same commentary, that they do love the suspense and the twists that go on chapter by chapter towards the end. So I guess we nailed
it.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
I mean, and I have to just say, like, you know, Angela is seasoned at this, and this is I've attempted to write other things, but not in this depth. I've learned so much from her. I mean, it's like I got a mentor just working with her and learning things. But then it's so, I mean, we literally would cry laughing so hard. Or then like in the middle, and it's like, their voices, they're in my head all night long. I can't get them out of my head. And then we would just talk about something, and it's like, so-and-so, oh my God, he has to be married to that thing and the thing, and to bring things back. And I mean, just this, I mean,
I text her at 3 a.m, Florida time, right? Which is midnight her time, and say, Epiphany, I think Poppy needs to have a lover, an old man lover, and a May December romance. He said, great, let's do it. Yes. Yeah, so.
And he turns out to be like the husband of the famous telenovela that, you know, Poppy's mom and her friends would watch. And so it was fun to just have that creativity and the freedom to just build out and, you know, just let it kind of rip, as they say.
It is a joy.
Right. Sorry. One thing we don't highlight is that that every name and all the cities in the book are bushes, plants, flowers, and trees.
Every hotel, every restaurant.
We went to town looking up names, male, but hell, it's hard, easy with females, but male names were hard. So we worked a lot on that.
Cool. So yeah. Mia, you know, you are a creator in other ways. This was your first book, first time you wrote something this substantial, but you're an actress and a voiceover artist. You know, now that you've been introduced to writing, is it now your favorite outlet, or where does it fit in your?
Honestly, it was my favorite outlet before, but it was always so private, right? Like I just didn't have the confidence to really do anything until I did get a scholarship to the UCLA Writers Program a few years ago. And so that sort of spurred me on, and I joined a writing group, but never, you know, I mean, I shared some things like a one-act play I did for a class, whatever, but I do like it because the freedom is there. No, I'm the only one that's judging myself. My favorite thing in the whole wide world is to be on stage, whether that's improv, because it's also, you make it up on the fly, or, you know, in a play, because you're all rehearsed, all the structure's done. And then, so you're still alive and present to go with the flow. But the writing part, the fun is at first, the more rigorous stuff is at the end, in the sense of paring down and editing. And, you know, Angela is doing the absolute lion's share of all of the other administrative stuff, like communicating with people and all of that. And that's been the hardest part, I think, because I don't learn it. So it's almost the flip, like you do all this structure, like in play rehearsal or movie rehearsal, and then you get to play, whereas writing, you get to play and then sort of the structure. But it's all fun because it's creative. I'm just glad I have it in my little art tool chest, as they say.
Yeah. And, you know, I love that term. We are creators, you know, and that covers a lot of ground. So are you guys, Angela, are you guys working, or you personally, or you two as a team working on anything now?
Once we put Dead Girl to bed, I mean, that's a funny, no pun intended. I have been working on a historical fiction based on the life of my great-grandfather, who was Italian from a village. And he actually is renowned in our family for, at 70 years old, taking on an entire squadron of Nazis that occupied the home, and basically made a big dinner, and they didn't last until dessert. So, and he had to disappear for the rest of the war. So he had a very interesting trajectory from the late 19th century during the unification of Italy, all the way through to becoming an immigrant in lower Manhattan, tackling with the mafia, the mob, and then eventually tackling with the Gestapo. later on. So
Wow.
I'm about 50,000 words in. Again, I relied on my writing groups for feedback. And so I don't know, it's been a lot of fun working on it. What becomes of it, I don't know. I'm kind of like about 3/4 of the way through.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Mia, are you doing anything in particular? What are you doing now? What are you working on?
Well, I did start a novel about 4 years ago, and I'm almost done except for the ending. And of course, then I'll have to go through and edit and edit. And now, again, just going through the process of this first one, and that's what I'm working on. I'm refining that. It's also done in first person, which for whatever reason I really like writing. And it's based on a young girl, again, based on a lot of truth, my truth, things that had happened, then with fiction and exaggeration, whatever. And it's a diary of a young girl that encounters a icky human being. We'll just say that. And
Yes, yes.
There's a lot of the truth in there that became cathartic. You know, as a young child, these things happened, and processing through as an adult now in a different way and getting a different spin on it, and having the character be directed the way that I want her to have lived a life, in a sense. So it's interesting. And like I said, I just thank God for Angela and having the push to do this and getting involved, and me getting involved. I really like the process of writing. And I think we all have so many stories to tell.
Yes, we do. Thank goodness. That's the next book and the next book and the next book.
Yeah, the icky thing in the yard, is that what it's going to be called?
So one of the things, this is called What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? And so we like to recommend a book. So if Angela, you could go first, if there's a book that you would like to recommend.
I would say anybody that likes actually your stuff, Karen, as well, and any crime or thriller. My inspiration was Carl Hyacint's crime capers that take place in South Florida. That was a big influence. So I would recommend Carl Hyacint's, any of one of his books. And a lot of another influence was Maria Semple's Where'd You Go, Bernadette? It has the same feel, the same first person narrative that goes in. Anybody also likes to read about California, which by the way, our book mostly takes place in Topanga Canyon, where actually Mia lives. But anybody that likes California-based stuff, there's a wonderful series, a Long Beach crime series by Tyler Dilts, and he's award-winning. And I would recommend his series, Long Beach crime series. He's award-winning. And that would be, I'd see some comparables and interesting reads. Yeah.
Thank you. And Mia, do you have a recommendation?
I do. Ironically, I'm reading it's a Topanga author, and I saw it in a little cafe, and it's called Acting Techniques for Everyday Life by Jane Marla Robbins. Mm-hmm. And I just picked it up because, of course, I read anything of acting from the in audition books and anything from all the stellar, way in the past beginning acting teachers, Strasberg, all of the Hagen, all of the things. And I just thought, how interesting for everyday life. Like, what does she mean? And she's a very seasoned actress, both stage and TV, has studied with the greats of the greats. And it's so cute because she's hilarious, but it's so cute because she says these very structured, different techniques used in different forms of acting, but then places them also in an everyday life situation, like how to build more confidence if you're going in on a job interview, or using personalization for better social skills, right? Like, it's just really cute and very helpful, because I don't know if consciously I've ever thought, okay, I'm going to go on a date, right? I haven't been on a date forever. Oh, let's use some relaxation techniques. Let's use some, identification, or what if, or I don't know. It's just really a fun read. So and if anybody just wants a self-help book that's not really self-help, I would recommend it.
That sounds like a really cool book. I've always found doing improvisation has helped me get through a lot of difficult, I used it in when I was teaching management and leadership skills. And so I like that. I'm going to look for that one.
Yeah, it's cute. Oops, look at backwards on the screen. But yeah.
Thank you. Do you have a copy of a cover of your book nearby? Do you guys have
there?
It's right back here, but I have a book cover. I mean, a bookmarker. Can you? I don't know. You can't really see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can get it. Let's show everybody.
Yay.
There it is. There's a dead girl in my yard. I want to thank both of you so much for joining me. If our watchers, listeners are interested in finding out more about you and finding you on social media, Angela, where should they look?
So the book actually has a website, is deadgirlbook.com. And that a lot of the social media links are on there. My personal page is angelapage.net. And my handle is Angela Page 1200 on both Twitter and Instagram.
Thank you. And Mia?
I'm Mia Altieri across the board, and the book on Instagram is deadgirl.book.
Deadgirl.book. Well, this has been so fun. I now know I am committed. I have my to read list is very, very long, but this one just jumped way up to the top. So thank you so much for spending time with us, and thank all of you for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope to see you next time on What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing?
Thank you, Karen.